I owe you one.
You owe me like $1.5 billion.
So it finally looks like James Gunn has confirmed that Catwoman is officially stepping into the DC Universe alongside Batman, and that's something fans have been waiting to hear for a while. But that's not even the only thing stirring up buzz, because rumors are flying that Gunn is also looking at Sydney Sweeney for a role people are calling DC's Black Cat. Now, Black Cat is technically a Marvel character, not DC, but the talk probably means Gunn's thinking of bringing in a seductive, morally gray type of thief, someone who mirrors that same magnetic energy Catwoman is known for. So, let's dive into what's really happening here, what it could mean, and how Gunn could make this version of Catwoman way more savage, the way she's supposed to be. For those who somehow missed her history, Catwoman, also known as Selina Kyle, is one of the most iconic and complicated characters in DC Comics. She first showed up way back in Batman #1 in 1940, created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane, and at first, she wasn't even called Catwoman, she was just the Cat, a mysterious burglar who could steal diamonds as easily as she could steal Batman's attention. Over time, she became both his greatest adversary and the only woman who could truly match him in both skill and attitude. Selina isn't your standard supervillain, she's more of an anti-heroine, walking a thin line between right and wrong because she does terrible things for what she thinks are the right reasons. She steals, she lies, and she manipulates, but she also saves lives and protects people she cares about. That's the magic of Catwoman. She's not black or white, she lives in that messy gray middle where her claws come out for good or bad, depending on the moment. Now, when the Comics Code Authority came down hard in the 1950s, female characters who were too seductive or independent were basically erased for a while. That's why Catwoman vanished from comics from 1954 to 1966, but once she came back, she evolved fast. Since the 1990s, she starred in her own ongoing comic series, showing her as a gritty street-level anti-heroine trying to survive Gotham in her own way, not by Batman's rules, but hers. Over the decades, several other characters have taken up the Catwoman mantle, like Holly Robinson and Iko Hasegawa, but Selina Kyle will always be the face people remember. She's the symbol of Gotham's chaos and beauty all rolled into one, and that's why it's such a big deal that James Gunn is finally bringing her into the DCU's main continuity, because she's never really been part of a shared cinematic universe before. We've seen Catwoman in a bunch of forms on screen. Lee Meriwether played her in the 1966 Batman movie, Michelle Pfeiffer gave us that unforgettable leather-clad version in Batman Returns, Halle Berry did her own controversial spin in Catwoman, Anne Hathaway portrayed her sleek and strategic version in The Dark Knight Rises, and Zoe Kravitz recently brought a moody, grounded take in The Batman. On TV, there were Julie Newmar and Eartha Kitt back in the day, and more recently, Cameron Bikondova and Lily Simmons in Gotham. So the legacy is huge. She's been a villain, a hero, and everything in between. She's also ranked high on both hero and villain lists, number 11 on IGN's Top 100 Comic Book Villains and number 20 on their Top 100 Heroes, which basically sums her up perfectly. She's too complicated to fit neatly into either box. Now, James Gunn, the man behind Guardians of the Galaxy and now co-head of DC Studios, has confirmed that Catwoman is part of his plan for the new DC Universe. The Batman world that Matt Reeves created will still exist as an Elseworld story, separate from the main continuity, but Gunn's The Brave and the Bold will give us a brand new take on Batman and his world. Andy Muschietti, who directed The Flash, is set to direct it, and even though the script's still being written, it's shaping up to expand Batman's mythos in a way we haven't seen before. There's also a separate R-rated Clayface movie in the works from James Watkins, which means Gunn isn't afraid to go dark. So it's fair to expect that if Catwoman's coming into this universe, she won't be a watered-down, polished version. She'll probably be closer to the brutal, unfiltered Selina Kyle from the comics, the one who's not scared to do terrible things when she has to. One fan even asked Gunn directly on social media if he had plans for Selina Kyle in the DCU. Gunn replied, "Oh, for sure," which was short but very telling. He didn't say whether she'll appear in The Brave and the Bold, but his confirmation alone lit up the fandom because it shows he's thinking about her as a key piece of the new Batman storyline. Now let's talk about what that could actually mean. In Gunn's DC universe, most heroes and villains are already established. They've been around for a while. That means Selina Kyle already exists somewhere in that world, living her double life as a thief and occasional partner in crime to the Dark Knight. This could let the DCU skip the long origin story and go straight into the complex, tension-filled relationship between Batman and Catwoman, the kind of push-and-pull dynamic that makes them one of comics' most fascinating couples. But here's where it gets exciting. If Gunn really wants to make his Catwoman stand out, he should lean into her savage comic book moments, the darker, more unpredictable side that hasn't really made it to the big screen. Take Tom King and Mikkel Janin's I Am Suicide storyline, for example. In that arc, Batman has to build his own Suicide Squad to take down Bane, and the hardest person for him to recruit is Catwoman. Why? Because at that point, Selina's been sentenced to death for killing 237 people. She's locked up in Arkham Asylum, waiting for lethal injection because the court thinks she murdered hundreds of innocent lives. That's not the flirty, jewel-stealing Catwoman people are used to seeing. That's a ruthless, broken woman who's done horrifying things. The twist, though, is that there's more to the story, and her motives aren't as clear-cut as they seem. But the point is, Gunn could take that same energy, the morally gray, savage Catwoman, and make her a true force in the DCU. Imagine a version of Selina who isn't just a love interest or side character, but a dangerous, unpredictable wild card Batman can't control. Because let's be honest, we've seen the sexy, mysterious versions of Catwoman plenty of times. What we haven't seen is her psychological depth on full display, that inner conflict between survival and morality. Gunn is known for giving even the weirdest or darkest characters emotional weight, like he did with Peacemaker or Rocket Raccoon, so he's the perfect person to give Selina Kyle her due. And if he really wanted to shake things up, he could even tie her story to other Gotham-based projects. Fans have been waiting for something like Gotham City Sirens, the all-female team-up featuring Catwoman, Harley Quinn, and Poison Ivy, for years. The DCEU tried to make it happen before, but never pulled the trigger. With Gunn's new DCU, that idea could finally come to life, letting Selina lead the charge alongside other morally complex women. Because Catwoman works best when she's surrounded by chaos. She's not a team player, but she's smart enough to use alliances when it benefits her. Gunn's DCU could show her weaving in and out of the other characters' stories, stealing from one hero, saving another, and leaving everyone unsure of which side she's really on. That's how she's written in the best comics, always walking that tightrope between villain and savior. Plus, this is the first time she'll exist inside a shared universe, which means her actions could have ripple effects across multiple stories. Maybe she crosses paths with Nightwing or Batgirl. Maybe she even runs into Amanda Waller or Harley Quinn. The possibilities are endless, and Gunn's world-building skills could make it all feel natural, not forced. If Gunn's smart, and he usually is when it comes to character work, he'll show us both sides of Selina, the graceful thief who can steal a diamond without breaking a sweat, and the savage survivor who'd claw her way through anyone who threatens what she loves. That's the balance that defines her. Her savage side shouldn't just be for shock value either. And that's that for today's video, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.